Welcome, welcome. Okay, let's just jump in. Because I'm an on-time person. You are clearly on-time gal, so let's do it. You may hear my son in the background. My mom was trying to put my son to sleep. And so if you hear that, apologies. It is what it is. So let's dive in. I'm so excited. I've had a bunch of cups of coffee today, of course, so I could stay up till 10. But that's just what it is. So I'm just gonna move some stuff around. Excuse me, get out of my way. And let's dive in. So when Katie asked me to do this, I was like, oh my gosh, there's so much that I could say. How do I even begin? And so given that, that's why I emailed for feedback initially and was like, okay, what do you guys want to know? Where are you at? What do you got in your business? Because where you are in your business will determine a lot of what I'll tell you today. So this is everything systems, scaling, automations made simple. As simple as I can make it. So I'm so excited for this. Thank you for having me. Thank you for showing up live. It's so great to see everyone live. So let's move along. Okay, so if you don't know me, I think a lot of you probably have chatted to me via email, but if you don't know me, I'm Nisha Ryan. I work with Dr. Katie, obviously, and I actually wear a lot of hats. I'm a business consultant. I work with funnels. I'm a funnel expert. I'm a verified Kajabi expert. I'm a web designer. I'm a systems expert. I have been doing this for literally a decade almost. I started as a virtual assistant almost 10 years ago, and I really found my niche in like tech, and then it moved into funnels, and it's really the spot that I'd love to be. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about that story as we move along into systems and scaling and all of that as well. So how I work with people is basically we talk about their overall business strategy. Clients that work with me on an ongoing basis, we do business strategy and launches month to month, every month. Excuse me, sorry. Um, And also, obviously, I do project work and all these other kind of things like design and systems and scaling and all of that. So a big part of what I do is the strategy part, and that is really important because that actually ties into how the systems and the structures are going to support you. Um, and my best credential of all time is that I'm a boy mom to an almost 17-month-old. Sorry, he's 17 months old. He's going to be 18 months on the 18th. That's my best credential, and why I live this life. So today's agenda. I'm going to do a quick presentation. I know everyone's busy. I'm definitely really busy, and we're going to try to keep it as succinct as possible. With space for questions at the end. Again, if you don't want to be on camera, then just turn your camera off and it'll just be voice. And I will be emailing out with the replay opportunity to book one-on-one consult with me. If you want some more like personalized touch points or personalized questions about your business. Because the thing about this kind of work is I cannot give you like a blanket, this is going to work for everybody. Everyone's business is different. And so everything is personalized, but I am going to give you the basics of where to start. Okay, makes sense. So I want to start with some definitions. I myself am in a mastermind, and some of the people are, newer in business and haven't quite hit 10K months. And I was like, what do you want to know? What would you want to know if you had this when you were like first starting up your business or just kind of warming up, you hadn't scaled to six figures yet? Um, and they're like, well, what does scaling actually mean? And I was like, that is a great point. So let's get into, we're going to define scaling, we're going to define systems, and we're going to define automations, and then go deeper into each one of those. So if this part's a little bit dry, just bear with me. You're going to get the juiciest stuff at the end, I promise. So literally scaling a business literally means increasing revenue without proportionally increasing cost. Doesn't mean you don't increase any cost, but not at the same amount that you're scaling. Does that make sense? You're not scaling, you signed on 10 new clients every single month. You're not 10xing your operational costs at the same time. So you're going to expand your capacity to handle higher demand with efficiency, right? Not with burning out. And that's where the systems and the processes and strategies come in. So what I want you to remember about scaling, it's really not about a number. It's not like, oh, once I get to 10K months, then I can look at scaling. It's not really about that. It's about doing sustainable growth. And that will never happen if you continue doing things manually in your business. of course, I don't know your personal situation, but I've worked with people for a really long time. Obviously, if you end up doing this for a decade, you work with probably thousands of people at this point. And I meet a lot of entrepreneurs who are like scheduling their clients manually, emailing back and forth, that kind of thing. And that will always keep you in a certain place, in a certain income bracket. Not that that specific thing will, but doing things manually in your business when it's like taking up your time. And I have lots of examples to come. So I want you to remember this. This is like, wow, more money doesn't come from more effort. So more money doesn't come from you doing more, posting on social media more, right? Hustling more, going to more events, sending more emails. It comes from optimizing. It comes from taking the things that are working and making them better and making them more efficient. Okay. You can't out hustle your way to whatever your income goals are. Okay. So now that we've clearly defined what is scaling, and it mentioned systems in scaling. So what is a system when we talk about business, right? So, and again, dry, a defined set of principles, practices, procedures that are applied to specific activities to achieve a specific result. Oh my God, how vague is that, right? So this is why I'm like offering the one-on-ones in a lot of ways, because a system is very unique to each business, right? I'm going to have completely different systems in my business than Dr. Katie will, right? Um, Everyone here would have completely different systems, but I can help you kind of develop the basic ones, and then we can meet personally if you need support in kind of making it a little bit more custom. But I just want you to think of this as like, okay, a system is I do everything the same way every time, right? So every time I bring on a new client, there's a defined set of rules that happen in order for that to happen smoothly. Every time a client leaves, I have a defined set of rules, right? Every time I do a launch, and that is going to help you become really efficient and well-versed in how you run your business. And trust me, the more efficient that you can be, the more productive that you can be, the more you're going to be able to bring on, because you're basically like taking time and collapsing it. Okay. Yeah, I forgot to put in the slide like system like not helpful, right? Okay. Um, so it's so hard to just be like, oh, here are the systems you should have in your business. Like if you Google that right now, you'd have so many different answers and you'd be like, bah! Which again, that's why I'm giving one-on-one meetings, because there is Google's not going to help you this time. Okay. So later on, I'm going to give you some examples of like basic systems and softwares that everyone like should have. I'm going to say should, just kind of assuming that most people have an online type business, and we can if you have more of a brick and mortar type business, we can get into this into the Q&A. But I have some personal examples as well, because I feel like that is so helpful with these kinds of things, to just hear from someone who's been doing it for a decade and has worked with literally like thousands of businesses and helped them set up different systems. Because it's like, well, you don't even know what you're missing until somebody like opens you up to the possibility of it. Okay. So then our last definition, the dry stuff's almost over. What is automation, right? So we're using technology to automate processes and functions within an organization, right? And it's like, okay, yeah, duh. And a lot of people just don't understand how you can use automation. And again, it's kind of one of these things, it's like, well, I don't even know it exists until somebody tells me it's possible, right? So this can look like onboarding emails. So like when a client pays, they automatically get the emails. It's like, here's your links to book, right? Here's whatever resources they need to work with you as a one-on-one client, making sure they're signing up for an online calendar that's going right to whatever calendar you use for all of your stuff. So you're not backing and forthing, oh crap, I overbooked you. Although that still happens. I do that somehow sometimes. And I'll go over the basics of this in a little bit, right? And so this is just one pretty basic example. Like I said, automation can be a lot of things. Okay. So let's go back to scaling, our first definition. So lots of people think this means like growing your business once you've hit a certain point, like, okay, I've reached 3K months, so I can like scale this offer. I've reached 5K months, I can scale this offer to 10, etc. And I want to bring on more. But this is like one little piece of the picture, right? The income where you're sitting is just one tiny little piece. So a lot of businesses, and I've worked with a lot of people like this, and don't do this, okay? If you're not here yet, don't do this. They'll wait until they feel at capacity and then bring on more systems and automations to be able to take on more. This is a big mistake. Listen, you can still manage, the world isn't going to end, but it's so much harder. You want to start this from day one. And I'm going to explain why it's hard next. Once you're at capacity or like almost at capacity, right? Imagine you had like 10 one-on-one clients, for example, if you're doing a one-on-one service, right? It's going to be really difficult to devote time to building systems, even if you hire support to do it, because they still need your brain. What does the process look like? What are you currently doing when you bring a one-on-one client, right? And then implementing that. So that is kind of a recipe for burnout. So we want to do these, these things that I'm going to tell you today. We want to start them from day zero, essentially. Um, and it makes the client experience so much nicer when they get everything at once and they're not like looking for something, emailing you, I don't see where this is, etc. And I'm just going to put a little caveat here, like we're still doing this at Team Dr. Katie Jane. We're always like, oh, this was a problem. This didn't go well. Oh, these groups of people are having trouble finding the content, right? And so we're always like, okay, so how can we make it better? Like you're never going to be like finished. Get what I'm saying? But we should start. And speaking of that, by the time you really want to scale, you're probably at minimum going to train like a VA, for example, to help you with some admin stuff, maybe uploading files, client meetings, managing your calendar, answering some emails, etc. And if you don't have clear process already, like it's already up, it's only up here. It's going to be a lot of trouble down the line. And this is where a lot of people like hire support and they're like, well, it didn't really help me. Like I just had to answer a bunch of questions and I don't like because it was all up here. Your business is in your head. How you do stuff is in your head. And no one can help you if it's like literally not on digital paper. Right. So it ends up being like people end up really frustrated and be like, well, I hired a VA, but it was like more work for me. Long nights of like, oh, they worked during the day and you finally finished with your client calls and you went to go see what they did and it wasn't the way you wanted it. And you end up like being really frustrated and pulling your hair out, right? And those are the kind of scenarios that we can avoid if we do system structures, scaling from the get-go. Okay. So that is very broad. Let's get into the fun stuff. What can this look like? What can scaling look like? Because every business, like I said, is very different. So this could be like you're already working with people on a one-on-one capacity, and that's going, kind of well-ish, but you'd like to bring on more people. So that could look like maybe you're creating a low ticket offer. Maybe you're creating a masterclass to reach that wider audience who's not ready to pay like a high ticket offer, for example, and kind of get them used to you and into your world, right? This could be, but can you tell that I did these slides this morning in cursing web traffic, um, blogs, ads, guest speaking, webinars, right? These are all ways that what scaling can look like. And this is going to be the surprising one for a lot of people, creating more boundaries around a business or clients, right? So if you let clients kind of rule the roost, do whatever they want, whatever they say, if you're like kind of like a people pleaser, recovering people pleaser right here. Um, if you are like, moving your personal life stuff to, have a meeting with them because they requested one. If you are always on 24/7, there's no separation between your business and your personal life. These are things that often get in the way of scaling, even though they're things that you would think have nothing to do with it. Okay. So basic important, I didn't miss one, did I? Okay, great. Basic important scaling actions. So then these are like basic things that you would set up for scaling for pretty much almost any business. Like I said, most of this is tailored to more of an online business. So a client onboarding process, which I kind of mentioned that already. Imagine what it feels like as a client. You sign up for one-on-one coaching or health coaching, something like that, let's say. And when you sign up, you get an email. Here's everything that's included. Here's how you book calls with me. This is how things are going to run. The client feels very safe with you and they feel really taken care of. And they're like, wow, like the service of this offer is so amazing. And for you, you don't have to do anything. Wouldn't that be great if it was like on your website and people just click and bought and people were onboarded and booked their first call and that was it? Like you didn't actually have to lift anything, right? Reminders for clients to book sessions if you're selling packages, right? So for me, and then this is probably on a later slide, like I actually implemented this really recently where I send automated, oh yeah, this is on a later slide because this is automated. um, I send automated emails every month, be like, hey, book your call because I generally offer a call every single month with my retainer clients. So reminders to book sessions. So, you don't have clients come who haven't booked any for 2 months and like, I want 2 sessions this month and you have space in your calendar. Um, and you get what I'm saying. Um, Online booking systems, I kind of hinted at this previously where people should be able to book online. Like if you book with Dr. Katie, you just go select the time if there's time available and book right there. You get the email, right? Um, this is one of the important ones that I really see people like, oh, how's 11 a.m. MSC? Wait, what time zone are you in? It's just so much simpler and cleaner for people to book right there. And then again, they get the reminders to show up for the call. I also see a lot of people lacking in this is client offboarding systems. So what you really want to see there is if you're wrapping up with a client or you're wrapping up with a program, is sending an email, be like, okay, we've, had our final session. And again, this can be automated, which we're going to talk about next. We've had our final session, here's if you have any deliverables that to give them like their client calls or something like that. Here's all of the things and asking for a testimonial. Testimonials in businesses are so hard to get because people generally just like, oh yeah, I'll do it. And human behavior, they don't, we get busy, right? But testimonials are gold, right? My mentor says one testimonial for her is worth like $30,000. And I believe that because you keep that testimonial for years probably, and other people are looking at it and getting a real bird's eye view of what it's like to work with you. And I often think sometimes the issue with this as well is we're just like, I'd love a testimonial if you feel called. And the best way is like to provide them structure, like where were you at when you started the program? Where are you at now? What's your biggest takeaway? That kind of thing. Okay, discovery calls and sales follow-ups. Again, this might not be applicable to everyone depending on the kind of business you're running. But I would have a way, like if you go on my website right now, there's a banner that says book a consult. um, don't do that. You're getting your own consult. Um, so someone can click on that, book a discovery call with me. I call it a consult, obviously, because I'm more of a consultant. With an online booking calendar, get an email right away, get it added to their calendar, that kind of thing, right? And for those of you who are more in like a sales type position where you're bringing one-on-one coaching clients or something like that, it would be absolutely epic if you had automated sales emails to follow up with your discovery calls, basically until they paid. We have lots of different systems with my own clients where if they have a discovery call, they get an email like if they don't sign up for anything, they get an email like 30, 60, 90 days out. So you're constantly nurturing that lead. That's a whole other basket, but okay. So these are kind of basic systems that I would recommend. I'm going to talk about a little bit. So booking system, I think I've talked about that a lot, and I think that's kind of obvious. So obviously you need a payment system, some way for to get paid. Duh. I'm sure by now you've got that unlocked by now. Contract or terms and conditions. I feel like this is a place where people really, really lack, and it is really actually dangerous. Imagine someone just paid you $5,000 for X months of coaching, and you did not have any terms and conditions in your offer, in your checkout, on your website, etc., or you didn't have a contract. I personally don't have contracts. I'm actually moving towards that right now. Something an extra system I'm looking to set up. And go, which is by terms and conditions on the checkout, which a lot of people do. And so imagine this person made a chargeback, right? And without having one of these, you literally don't have a leg to stand on. The bank is going to side with that person. You delivered all the services and there's a 5 grand gone. Terrible, right? Terrible. And it happens. More so with PayPal. PayPal always sides on this is not in my notes, but I'm just like, this is just if I was your if you're my client, this is what I tell you. Like PayPal always errs on the side of the consumer usually. So I would always I try to use Stripe and try to like not use PayPal at all. Okay. Um, Email marketing, obviously you should have a way to send emails to clients, to just have a general email list. An email list is very underrated in this day and age, especially if you don't like keeping up with the trends in social media. Email list is so important. Okay. Obviously website and funnels. I'm going to do a little mini funnel intro at the end. SOPs, standard operating procedures. So remember when I said you go to hire someone and they don't know how to do anything in your business because it's all up here. And this is something I am getting better about. Um, is having standard operating procedures in your business. So, for example, a new client signs up, what happens, right? And just kind of writing that down each time you perform kind of like a bigger task, whether that's bring someone on or you launch a new program or what are the, activities you do during a launch period, these kinds of things. So that if anything were to happen to you or you bring someone on, it's right there laid out exactly how your business runs, right? Um, okay. And then a project management tool. A lot of my clients are like, you know, I'm going to say like feminine-led businesses, and they're very spiritual, and project management does not come natural to them, nor does like necessarily being organized. Not all of them, but some of them. And this is something I've implemented with all of my clients. And while it was a little bit to learn, they are so much better for it and they really appreciate it now. So with my clients, we're generally using Asana because it's super easy. Internally, I use ClickUp, but it's just super easy to navigate if you're not techie. And I even encourage my clients when they're like, oh, well, I just, I fell down on my marketing this month and I didn't do it or stuff like that. I'm like, assign yourself stuff. I'm literally building a funnel right now and I went and assigned myself due dates for all of my things because you're going to get an email and be like, your masterclass copy is due. And of course, it's made up. I made it up April 11th. And I was like, oh, I better do this, right? It's just like totally packing my brain. Okay. So basic automations. So of course, email reminders, we've talked about that a lot. They cannot be undervalued, okay? Especially if you're going to run a master class. You see, if you've ever attended one of Dr. Katie's master classes, but you're here, so you probably have. We see lots of email reminders, right? That it's coming, we're getting excited. It's really important. It can't be underrated. People are really busy and have lots of stuff going on, and it's so easy to forget about stuff. There was literally like a program call that I was supposed to be taking for a client yesterday, and I totally forgot about it. Um, because I'm just gonna say mom brain. Um, so integrations with calendars or secondary software. So, there's lots of examples for this, but like if someone books on my Calendly, because that's what I'm using as my calendar software, it'll automatically go to my Gmail, Google Calendar, into my iCal. And there's lots of ways that you can just use different, you can have different apps talk to each other. So for example, this is totally insider knowledge. Like right now, if you booked a reading with Dr. Katie, I have that integrated with a third-party software called Zapier or Zapier. I don't actually know how it's said, but it's amazing. That will put into Asana for me that this is your reading at this time. So I know to go check for the files and send it to you after. And then finally, payments and receipts. I can't tell you how many times I've gotten emails. It's like the end of the year. This is a perfect example because tax season just ended in the US, right? Um, I need my everything I bought from you in 2023. What? You want to automate this, right? You want to automate payments and receipts. And so that's obviously depends on which payment processor you're using. I didn't plan on saying this, but actually, if you do use Stripe, I have a quick little training on Stripe, how to basically optimize the back end of it. So how to make sure that people are getting notifications of their payments coming up, automatically send receipts, um, how to do smart retries so that if someone's payment fails, it just automatically retries it. Which I also have an email sequence that you can implement in your business if you find that something you have going on or you have a membership. That's usually one of the places that happens a lot, offering payment plans for anything that's something you want to implement, which I'll show you at the end. Okay. Personal examples. I apparently was saving them all for here, but I've told you a lot of things already. Like I said, I just feel like you can talk to someone who's like done this before. It makes so much more sense than these like conceptualization scenarios. I was really trying to keep this to part to a half hour, so I apologize. Okay, yeah. Right. So again, with the doing the PowerPoint in the morning, it is what it is. Um, so yeah, like I said, scaling is going to look different for everyone. Right now, I'm working on a lunch bundle, which is literally like Kajabi templates to create a funnel, like opt-in page, thank you page, sales page, like everything you need, all of the emails, etc. That is what scaling looks like for me right now because I'm not at capacity. I'm pretty close to capacity for one-on-one clients. So this is kind of my focus right now, right? It's a bundle, it's passive, it's all created. There's nothing for me to do except sell it. One of the ways I stopped scaling was stop scaling. I stopped myself from scaling was doing hourly work. So like I said, I was a virtual assistant first, way back. And that's how Katie initially found me and we've grown together and it's so beautiful. But I stopped doing like hourly work because I realized like trading time for dollars is never a recipe for scaling. So that was one of the things that I had to kind of give up. Um, and literally, if I was still a virtual assistant, I would literally take on clients so easily. Obviously, like I'm mature. I actually have a degree in business, um, actually in entrepreneurship, which is really funny, because I didn't know I was going to end up an entrepreneur. Um, I just wanted to do a business degree because I thought it was, I was 20 something and thought that was prestigious. Um, so yeah, that was one of the things. Like I could literally like attract VA clients like handy. Um, but that was one of the things I had stopped doing if I was going to scale because I had to recognize my expertise, right? Um, this is the thing I really want you to take away. The hardest part about scaling is actually to say no to that dopamine hit. So I could like put myself out there as a virtual assistant and sign clients all the live long day, right? But that doesn't make sense, not only for my skill, but like to just be in busy work and doing little things, right? There's so much more that I can be offering to people. Um, so as entrepreneurs, I know like it's so hard to not get like the shiny object syndrome, like, oh, what if I did this? And what if I did this? Right. Um, excuse me, I was literally like I said, I'm in a mastermind. We were on the call the other day, and this woman is like amazing at LinkedIn. She does all this like leads generation for LinkedIn. And she always has people come up to her and like, do you want to be an affiliate for this? Do you want to be an affiliate for this? And she gets distracted by like, oh, well, if I'm affiliate for this thing, it's a 10% cut or whatever. Okay, that's $700, just one sale. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that. And that's kind of her downfall is like, and we all do it in one way or another, is like that shiny object syndrome and like getting distracted by those things. and kind of going for it, and it takes you off the path that you're supposed to be on, right? So it's so hard to say no because it's like it gets you the quick dopamine hit of like, oh, I'm doing this fun thing and it's shiny, right? But dopamine does not pay bills. Okay. So the hardest part is staying disciplined about like what we're supposed to be focusing on. So for me, I knew that focusing on systems and funnels and higher level strategy was where I was supposed to be instead of just continuing to be a virtual assistant. Does that make sense? Okay. Systems. So this is kind of my personal what I use in my business. So I use Kajabi as well. Especially for my funnels. I'm actually building my website on Showit because it has just much more customization available. So I said, and Kajabi sends my client reminders for their bookings. I have automated funnels within Kajabi. We're going to talk about a little bit about what that is. Again, my calendar system, SOPs, I bolded this because I feel like I'm still working on this. And then, like I said, I use ClickUp for project management. And so this is just examples of systems that you can kind of try on and see if they work for you, depending on what your business is. Okay, now for the automations. So these are things that I use. So I have onboarding automations for new clients. So for example, if you signed up with me as a retainer client, I'm using Zapier, like I mentioned previously, to create a project for you in my ClickUp, create a folder for you in my Google Drive, because my emails can't be standardized because it's bespoke, it's custom, right? It's like whatever you're building. But I'll see how else can I minimize the clicks and automate what I'm doing, right? So obviously I have email sequences from the funnel that I'm building, and existing funnels. And I'm also using ads. This is brand new to me. I'm still learning this really. And so obviously ads would drive traffic to automations like my funnel. Okay. I kind of said this before, but yeah, this is the things like I can hand you a custom system and it like never stops. I'm always like, how can I make this better? So yesterday I was working on a client thing and I was like, oh, I want that graphic that we did like a really long time ago, like probably 6 months ago. Do you think I could find it? No. I spent over 30 minutes finding it. I still didn't find it. I took a screenshot of it that where it was like somewhere else. And so I was like, aha, I need a system for this. And so that'll be my next thing. I need a better organization system in my Canva. I mean, of course I do. I've had the same account since 2017. And I've worked with a lot of people. Okay. I'm just going to go over a couple quick buzzwords of stuff that's kind of popular in the industry right now, and then we'll talk about funnels and AI briefly before I open up to questions. So funnel, you'll see a lot of buzzwords about that. I literally want you to imagine your kitchen funnel, right? So top of funnel is where you're going to attract the most people, probably in like your social media, for example, depending on your kind of business. And in the middle of the funnel is where you see people kind of hopping into maybe some lower ticket offers, and the bottom of the funnel would be like the top of the top, right? Your one-on-one, your biggest offers. And so literally think of it as like attracting many and then some convert, right? Open cart, we hear this a lot, and that literally just means like I'm opening the opportunity for people to buy what I'm putting out there. Okay, that's more so you don't use a launch webinar. I'm sure you've heard a lot of that. And people also say like masterclass or like, yeah, we've used a lot of different words for this. What I want you to take away from this is that it's you're promoting something where you're going to show up generally live and hope to convert people into something else. CTR means click-through rate, and this is actually something you should really know. So whether you're putting up a landing page, an ad, or an email, etc., you're going to have a click-through rate, and that's going to tell you if I'm sending out an email, are people actually clicking the link in the email to buy, right? So I know those are kind of like floating around right now, and so some people are like, I don't know what all this world is so technological and all these terms. I don't know what all these things mean. Okay. You can grab your phone if you want and scan this little QR code. And it will bring you to my shop page where I have some resources, like I just mentioned about like the failed payment email sequence and that kind of thing. Um, if you're looking for resources to help run your business. And this is my last slide, I promise. So I just wanted to riff a little on funnels and then on AI, because I get a lot of questions about AI. So I'm actually going to have a separate training on funnels. It's not affiliated with Dr. Katie, it's my own thing. Um, it's not quite ready yet. But if you join my list, or you can just email that you want to join my list, you'll know when that goes live. It's going to be really soon. Whenever I have enough sleep to film it, basically. So, funnels, a lot of people don't set up funnels until they're well on into their business. I wish people would actually set up funnels from the beginning, because they do so much for you. It's automated traffic into your business. You could probably make sales, without you really doing too much. And the funnels that work the best are actually really simplistic. So, promoting a masterclass or a PDF, right? And from that, they have some sort of offer for them to buy. And the key is emails. That's why I have an email sequence template on my page, my shop page. Because a lot of people think, well, I just send them to this masterclass that I did and then like upsell this program and that's it. People are just going to buy. And this day and age, it's really not enough. You might convert maybe 1% of traffic that goes there to this program. You need to be following up through email, and you need to really be focusing on what the person is looking for, the problem that you solve for them, right? And then some sort of like deadline. Like, so I like to call ethical based scarcity, whereas like the prices, coming to a close, something like that. And there'll be more on that on my funnel training. But if you're interested in funnels, keep it so simple. Those are the ones that do the best. The best businesses, actually, the most profitable businesses are simple, not complicated. A lot of people think it's the opposite. And then I'm just talk a little bit on AI because I did get a lot of questions. AI is currently my best friend, because stuff that 10 years ago I had to do manually, I do not have to do manually. But it is like a little scary sometimes because we really don't know the full capabilities of AI, and it keeps evolving. So we're in this really interesting time, and I like to liken it to like if we look at like the laws of businesses in terms of like the IRS, or here in Canada, it's the CRA. Their laws are not caught up with online businesses, right? In a lot of cases. And AI is the same, like businesses is behind AI. So it is evolving every day, and it's like it is your friend, and also it could potentially not be your friend. I was watching this TikTok the other day where they were like pulling apart a video where it was like Kelly Clarkson promoting some like weight loss thing. And it was like one of these gimmicky ones where it's like you eat chia seeds or something, right? And they pulled apart like that's not even what she was talking about. Like they just pulled apart the clips and made it sound like her, right? But what I want to say about AI is they can pull apart clips and they can, mimic your voice and whatever. They cannot mimic heart. And that is what sets so many of us apart from the general crowd out there. And I believe why I do so well is like when my clients sign up for me, they know like I'm your ride or die. I'm there for you. Like no matter what's happening in your life. And I think that is so important. They cannot mimic like your voice in terms of like influx and like correct accents. Like if you're conscious enough, you'll be able to pick it apart. So that's my little riff on AI. We're all learning so much about it still. And I know there's so much more to come, and yeah, um, there's so much we don't know, and we don't know how far it's gonna go, right? But I always remember that, like, even if you're like, you go to AI and you're like, do 5 emails for this thing that I'm running, it still needs you. It still needs your brain. Um, and like I said, no one can mimic like your heart and your intentions. And I think that is something that's going to set you really apart as an entrepreneur in this space.